What up? What up? It is Alex, the fantasy football hustler, back at you. I got another start and sit video. This one, we are breaking down all of the wide receivers. We're talking every relevant wide receiver, and we are breaking down every single game. Hit subscribe if you have not. Let's jump into this. Let's start it off with Thursday night football. Hopefully, this is a good one. We got Philly taking on Washington. Philly, a 3.5-point favorite. The over-under 48.5, so one of the highest over-unders on the week. Let's hope we get a lot of points because we've had some bad Thursday night battles. Washington's given up the 20th fewest points to wide receivers, so a very nice matchup. We are starting A.J. Brown with all kinds of confidence. Devonta Smith, he's more of a flex guy, but I'm still going to start him in this matchup. We should get a lot of points going and a lot of passes coming from Hurts. It's where the buck stops, though. On the Washington side of things, it's a lot tougher because the Eagles are giving up the 12th fewest points to wide receivers. We got to start Scary Terry like every week. So I'm going to say start him, but I'm really just leaning on sitting everybody else over there. All right, let's get to the Sunday early matchups. Let's start off with the Bears and the Packers. Packers are a 5.5-point favorite. The over-under 40.5. It is going to be ugly. We got some tougher matchups over here when it comes to the wide receivers. So for Chicago, I just want to sit everyone in this game. It's just been so bad. Like maybe you could start DJ Moore, but Caleb, he just goes in these spurts and it is just not a good matchup. They're giving up the 13th fewest points to wide receivers. That's the Packers. Their EPA is very low as well. And just being one of the lower over-unders on the week, I'm just going to do my best to avoid the wide receivers on the Bears side of things. I have to keep that same energy when it comes to the Packers side of things as well, because the Bears giving up the second fewest points to wide receivers. I know it's been a little bit better over the last couple weeks, but it is still bad. I'm just leaning on sitting everybody. If you're going to play one person, I think you play dubs, but I'm going to do my best to sit everybody that I can. All of these wide receivers should only be looked at as desperation flex plays. It's going to be very ugly, and I don't think that they hit that 40.5 over under. This game's going under. This matchup is a lot better for the wide receivers. We got the Lions taking on Jacksonville. The Lions are a 14-point favorite. Whew. I bet they hit that pretty easily too. The over under is 47. I'm assuming they're counting Detroit for 35 of those points, maybe even 37 or 38 of those points, because I don't see Jacksonville scoring more than 10 points. Maybe. It's a great matchup for the wide receivers on both sides of the ball, though. For Detroit, hell yeah, we're starting Amon-Ra. I'll even say start J-Mo, because Jacksonville is so bad against the wide receivers. 27th fewest points they are giving up. Now, for the other side of the ball, though, I really don't want to play anybody on Jacksonville. Like maybe if you're super desperate, you could play Brian Thomas Jr. It is a really great matchup, but Jaguars are just such a bad team that I don't want to mess with it right now. All right, we got another ugly game. The Titans taking on Minnesota. Minnesota on the road, and they're a 6-point favorite. Over-unders at 39.5. It is not going to be good. Tennessee, really great against the wide receivers. They're giving up third least points to the wide receivers. That being said, we're still starting Justin Jefferson, though. But that's it. Too nervous to start Addison or Naylor or anybody else down the pecking order of that depth chart. Minnesota is actually giving up a lot of booty to the wide receiver. It's been like that all year. Giving up the 30th fewest points to wide receivers, so almost the worst in the league. That being said, the only guy that I'm starting here is Ridley, and he's still a flex because I am just so nervous with the quarterback play that we get over there. Let's go down to South Florida, talk about the Dolphins taking on the Raiders. Miami's been bad, and they're still a 7.5-point favorite. 44 points is the over-under. They must be expecting Miami to do a lot of scoring. Raiders are giving up the 5th fewest points to wide receivers, which is pretty shocking, but I think it's because everybody runs on them so much that they don't have to throw it. So I'm going to say start Tyreek and start Waddle. Both kind of flexes because of how nervous they have made us, but I'm still going to start them. On the other side of things, the only one that I might start would be Jacoby Myers, but I'm still nervous about him. I'm just going to lean on sitting him because Miami's been very, very good at defending the wide receiver, giving up the 6th fewest points. We got a lot of ugly games this week. Let's talk about the Patriots and the Rams. Rams a 5-point favorite in this game. 43.5 over under is what it's looking like. Rams giving up some points to the wide receivers, but there's like nobody that I want to start on the Patriots. It's just going to be a dart throw with whatever Patriots wide receivers you're debating between. Pop Douglas, that's the only one that I'd even say yes to starting maybe. Just depends on how bad your options are. Patriots been middle of the road, giving up the 16th fewest points to wide receivers. Got to start Kupp. We got to start Puka. I'm just not getting around it. Demarcus Robinson, the only reason why I think you might be able to start him in like a dart throw, like flex capacity, is going to be because maybe when they get in the red zone, the Patriots do so good against covering Kupp and Puka that Robinson just ends up wide open. We've seen that happen a ton of times, and this could be the exact game that it happens in again. More ugly games. The Saints taking on the Browns. Pretty much a pick 'em. Saints are a 1-point favorite. Over-under is 44.5, one of those mid-level games. Cleveland's been really bad against the pass. You really don't want to start any of the wide receivers for the Saints. MVS, let's just remember, you're only starting him if you are super desperate. Would I start him in the flex? I just have to be super desperate. He's going to get between 2 and 4 receptions. If he gets 2 touchdowns again, it's going to be great because of like the things that Shaheed did earlier in the year. That's why I will say you probably got to roll the dice with a guy like MVS, because in the beginning of the season, Carr was taking those deep shots and hitting, and we saw him hit twice with MVS. So I'm only starting if I'm desperate, but I know a lot of people are desperate this week. Now on the Brown side of things, I'm starting Tillman with all kinds of confidence. Saints against the pass, giving up a lot of points. They don't have Lattimore anymore there, even though they got some solid fill-ins, like IDP wise. Still going to start Tillman. I don't want to play Judy. I don't want to play Elijah Moore. It's a good matchup for them. I just don't want to do it. Anything they do, it's just going to seem fluky to me anyways. Next game, how about
the goddamn Jets
taking on the Colts? This was supposed to be the Sunday night game, and they knew it was going to be so trash that they flexed it out of there. Jets a 4-point favorite. 43.5 is the over-under. Jets are giving up the fewest points to wide receivers over the season. You see their EPA is a little bit higher, so that means they've been giving up a little bit more points now than they were in the beginning of the season. Anthony Richardson is back. They said that he is starting, so you know what I'm going to do? Gonna sit everybody, sitting them all, not even thinking twice about it. Could there be some fluky stuff happening? For sure. But the Jets run a lot of man-to-man. And what's Anthony Richardson bad against? Man coverage. Now, Indy, they're a plus matchup for the wide receivers. Gonna start Garrett Wilson. I'm gonna start Devontae Adams. And we're just going to hope that they do good and get the right amount of volume that they should be getting. Feel like both have wide receiver 2 as their floor this week. Next game, AFC North matchup. Woo! We got the Steelers taking on the Ravens. Ravens a 3-point favorite here. 48.5 is the over-under. That's what we like to see. It's one of the highest on the week. Ravens for the season giving up the most points to wide receivers. So I'm going to start George. I might even start Mike Williams. It just depends on your level of desperation on who you need as a flex. Definitely like a dart throw, like flex guy to me at best. But saw him score a touchdown in his first week. And we know that just being as tall as he is, and you can't teach that, he's going to be a red zone threat no matter where he's at. Now on the Ravens side of things, I'm going to start with Deontay Johnson. You better not be starting him. Anybody who thought he was going to be a thing, yeah, he's droppable in redraft leagues. Rashad Bateman, I'm very nervous. Like, they move him around a lot. And I'm really curious who's going to be covered more by Joey Porter Jr. Because even though he's not a shutdown corner, he is someone who's going to slow down your wide receivers, whoever he is covering. So I feel like Rashad Bateman, kind of a dart throw flex to me. And I'm even putting Zay Flowers even kind of in that flex role. To me, he just makes me nervous. They go in waves of where they pepper him like crazy, and then they go in these waves of giving him 2 targets a half. I really feel like this is going to be such a grinded out game against the Steelers that I bet the ball just gets moved around a lot by Lamar to Andrews, to Flowers, to Bateman, definitely not to Deontay. Probably Justice Hill gets in the mix as well. Still going to start Flowers, but he's a flex guy to me. And Bateman's a start if you need like a dart throw, like type of flex. All right, let's kick off these Sunday afternoon games with the Broncos taking on the Falcons. Pretty much a pick 'em. Broncos are a 2.5-point favorite at home. 44 is the over-under, mid-level scoring they're expecting. Falcons are giving up the 26th fewest points to wide receivers, so it's a very, very good matchup. So I'm starting Sutton. Don't want to start anybody else, but Sutton and Nix, they are looking very good together. Looks like a match made in heaven for Knicks. Glad they got on the same page. Now, Denver, though, they are the exact opposite. They're giving up the 4th fewest points to wide receivers. Their EPA rank is number 1. So that means they are shutting people down. Drake London, I'm leaning on sitting because he's going to be going up against Patrick Surtain Jr. more often than not. So I'm really only thinking of him as a flex. Mooney, though, I like him more because he's not going to be covered by Patrick Surtain Jr. more often than not. So Mooney has been the best flex in fantasy football and is still one of the best flexes that you could play this week. I might even say he's like a fringe wide receiver 2 this week. And it's crazy how they're on the exact same team, and London should be the guy that I like more. But because of matchups, I actually like Mooney a lot more than I like London. And because of Patrick Surtain and how he's probably going to be covering London for a big portion of this game, Ray McLeod, he would be like a dart throw flex to me as well, amongst all those guys that I mentioned as dart throw flexes. Now we got an NFC West matchup. Let's go. 49ers taking on the Seahawks. 49ers are a 6.5 point favorite. 48.5 is the over under. We love these high scoring predictions. Seattle giving up the 23rd fewest points to wide receivers. A very positive matchup. Debo, gonna start him. Jennings, gonna start him. Flip side of things, Niners, they've been holding it down. They flipped. Like, they used to give up a lot of points to the wide receivers and like no points to running backs. They kind of flip-flopped on that. They're giving up the 9th fewest points to wide receivers over the course of the year. Their EPA is 7, so that means they've been killing it over the last couple weeks compared to the entire season. That being said, DK plays, I'm going to play him. If DK plays, I'm playing Lockett and I'm playing JSN. I feel like they're just going to have to throw it a lot in this game to keep up, and that's what we are banking on. So all 3 of these wide receivers I will start. DK is the only one that I think of as more than a flex play. Lockett and JSN are better than dart throw flexes as well. They are flexes, but I feel a little bit more confident in those guys than all the other people that I said specifically that they are a dart throw flex. Last afternoon game, we got the Bills taking on the Chiefs. This could be one of the best games of the week, at least we hope it is. Could be an AFC Conference Championship. Bills are a 2.5 point favorite. Over under is 46. Both teams are really good at defending the wide receiver. Buffalo's given up the 8th fewest points to wide receivers. That being said, D-Hop, I'll start. A little bit nervous about him and definitely not starting any other wide receivers over there. Then on the flip side, Kansas City giving up the 10th fewest points to wide receivers, but look at their EPA at 4. That means they've been a really tough matchup for wide receivers. I don't even know what's going on with Amari Cooper. The ball's just going to get spread around a lot. This game hits the under on that 46. And I don't really want to start any wide receiver specifically. I feel like Josh Allen, maybe he flirts with about 250, but I feel like it's going to get spread around so much that nobody's really going to have that good of a game. Cooper, Keon Coleman, like these guys are dart throw flexes to me at best this week. Shakir, dart throw flex, maybe. The Sunday night football game should be pretty good though. Am I right? We got the Chargers taking on the Bengals. Chargers are a 1.5 point favorites. Pretty much a pick 'em. 46.5 point on the over-under. Let's hope we get a lot of scoring here. Bengals giving up the 19th fewest points to wide receivers last week and this week. Going to be polar opposite games for the Chargers, I feel, because last week going up against Tennessee, you saw earlier when I mentioned Tennessee's giving up no points to wide receivers. Now it's actually a positive matchup for them. I'm going to start Ladd and I'm going to start Quentin Johnston. Flexes to me, and Josh Palmer is a dart throw flex to me. But Ladd McConkey and QJ, feel way better about him this week than I did last week. I say you fire them up with confidence. On the flip side of things, Chargers giving up the 7th fewest points to wide receivers, but look at how high their EPA is compared to their points given up for the season. It's at 17. So that means they've been very susceptible to the pass over the last couple weeks. They do have Asante Samuel Jr. over there, and I would expect him to be on Chase for a little bit, but the way that they move Chase around, I doubt that Samuel follows him. Either way, that being said, we're starting Chase. Higgins, man, he's always hurt. Mr. Glass, right, Derek? If he plays, I'm going to play him, though. The one thing that sucks is we're just going to have to monitor him all week. If he's questionable when we're making our start and sit decisions on those early games, I'm probably just not going to play him. just out of PTSD purposes, out of mental health purposes and all that. If we don't know on Friday that T. Higgins is good to go because he had at least a full go in practice on Friday or another day, I'm probably not going to lean on starting him at all. All right, we made it all the way to Monday Night Football. Woo! This game is going to suck this week. We got the Cowboys taking on the Texans in Jerry World. The Texans are a 7.5-point favorite. That shows how bad the Cowboys are because the Texans have not been that good. Maybe they get Nico back. Maybe they already know about Nico coming back. The over-under on this game is 42. I don't even know how they hit 42 because I really don't see the Texans scoring over 30, and I really don't see the Cowboys scoring more than a touchdown and a field goal, and that's even me being generous. Now, assuming Nico plays, I'm going to play him. Cowboys giving up the 18th fewest points to wide receivers, so it is a positive matchup, and I will start Tank Dell. If I'm very nervous, I will start Mechie in a dart throw flex. Nobody else, though. It's those three are bust. And even Mechie, he's kind of a bust to me. So it's all about the level of desperation that you have. He's one of those dart throw flex guys. On the flip side of things, Houston's given up the 25th fewest points. So it's a really plus matchup for the Cowboys. But they suck. Will I start CD? Yeah, I probably won't watch the game if I play him because I'm so nervous about it. Cowboys could get mollywopped. Like, we hope that, if nothing else, that there's a lot of garbage time. All right, made it to the end of the wide receiver start and sit video. Make sure you go watch that running back start and sit video if you have not yet. Let me know what you think of the new style that we are doing here for the starts and sits. If you guys want any further help, get over there and join our community at 420crew.com. If you want to take part in my fantasy consulting services where it's one-on-one help from me, get on the superstar tier or higher. Make sure you go join so you can be in the loop about the leagues that I am starting for the NFL playoffs. Those start the first week of January. It's going to be very fun and you do not want to miss out. Hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications. Don't just turn on the notifications, turn it to all so you get notified when I am going live, because those are the most fun shows out of it all. You ask your questions live. We do a lot of hanging out. If you're a fan of 420, you will love the live streams more than any other video. Click on one of the videos that's popping up right now, and we'll see you tomorrow for the live stream.